Welcome back, Bravehearts, to the Doc of Detox show. I'm Dr. Daryl Wolfe, and today's show is The Road to Redemption is Paved with Love with John Paul Rice. John Paul Rice began his film career in Georgia working on Jerry Buckenheimer's Remember the Titans, starring Denzel Washington, and We Were Soldiers, starring Mel Gibson. John now produces independent films that tell bold, authentic, real-life stories of survival in the face of uncertainty with a hope and love for a better world, for a better future. So let's begin the show. Good day, John. Thanks for coming.
Hey, Dr. Wolfe, thank you for having me on. It's a real pleasure to be here with you.
Hey,
very much.
It goes both ways, okay? It goes both ways, my friend. So let's get right to it, okay? So today, everybody, we're going to be talking about the invisible, how it creates the physical. We're going to talk about how the psychological overrules the biological. We're going to talk about thoughts are the most powerful things on this planet. So every negative thought that you have is going to create a negative reality, okay? It's going to create a negative personality. And until you understand that you got to retrain your brain, you got to rewire your brain from your authentic self, that self-love, self-care, authentic self deep within, then you aren't going to win. You'll be everyone else, going everywhere else, looking why you can't grab it. You almost have it, but you can't get it. What do you think, my friend?
100%. I just want to say that everything we will talk about today is possibly either from your or my firsthand experience. And this whole time that we're living in right now is having to move past the age of comparison. What that means is that we've had choices between this or that for decades. It's Coke or Pepsi, and we're moving away from that for a choice of a new generation, if you will. And that is this higher level of thinking that has to go beyond the paradigm that we've lived under for so very long, which is a false illusion of choices. It has left everyone empty-handed. It has left everyone second-guessing their reality as they've experienced it across a variety of lifetimes. What I'm looking at right now is a past 4 or 5 years that's not just political, but really it's social, psychological, and spiritual, that has begun to transform and shift in consciousness, in physical matter, in reality. And right now we're undergoing a shift in consciousness, at the same time a split in consciousness. That means that there is going to be, however you want to quantify it, by label, name, ideology, belief system, you really need to put all of that aside for a second and look at the humanity of everything in this moment. It has no label. It has no worldly identity in news cycles or upon our virtues that we hand down from media or our icons in Hollywood or our politician versus your politician. None of it can answer what is actually going on right now behind the news cycles. Because what's going on behind the scenes, as you know, is the real human toll, is the spike in suicides, depressions, addictions, drug overdoses, child abuse, domestic violence, homicides, poverty, starvation, homelessness. 8 million Americans last year went homeless. The World Bank, the IMF and the World Bank earlier this year said 150 billion people this year worldwide are going to slip into extreme poverty, the majority of them women and children. What does that mean for human trafficking? What does that mean for prostitution, for slavery, for nihilism, for addiction, further future? Are we kicking the can again down the road while we're saying we're building this world for future generations of children? We have a $150 billion a year human trafficking industry. And we have Hollywood speaking virtue to young women about what empowerment really is to women, as telling those daughters of yours that WAP by Cardi B, 3 years after Me Too, is bold, feminist, and empowering. This is the cognitive dissonance. This is the child abuse world that these pedophiles have created. And we've co-created with them through the belief of our own ignorances, our own unconscious behavior, our own impulses, not being aware of who we are or getting to know the real us. It's been an identity beyond politics. It's social, psychological conditioning, everything from 9/11 to now. How else could these young Marxists think otherwise when everything from 9/11 to now, in terms of capitalism, as it's been shown to them, has sucked the life out of everyone's life? Yes, they're going to demand communism in the face of that. Knowing that how ignorant and stupid that is, it's a logical conclusion for people who don't know anything else and whose identity is rooted in the world. If you don't talk to your kids, somebody else will.
Isn't that the truth?
That's really what it comes down to. When I got down to the brass tacks of who Epstein was and Ghislaine Maxwell were at the psychological level, the impulses that they were driven by, it was a mirror into my abuse as a child. That's how I could understand it. I wasn't trafficked as a child, but I was sexually abused, mentally tormented by two very educated people who wanted to love me,
but didn't know how.
That's exactly what it is. In the sum total of everything, you have to ask yourself, did that little baby that you see in that picture of your father or mother, did that little baby have a choice and a say in how their life turned out? And would that child have chosen to do all of the horrors that it did to itself and its own children while telling that child it loved him or her? Would that little baby have chosen the lies that it had to live in order to make that reality true? I say no. Because if you believe that that evil is present in any child, then what you're saying is there's a psychopath around every corner, and that you have no responsibility in how that child turns out. That's what you're saying. If you believe that evil is driven into children by the nature of them being children, then what the hell are we doing here?
Can I say something? And then I want you to pick it right up. And this is, I was born in a born-again Christian family, which we learned lots of great things as well. So don't anybody throw tomatoes at me. But I was taught as soon as I could understand that I was born a sinner. And basically almost no matter what I could do, okay, I would spend the rest of my life trying to not go to hell for eternity. So I was in hell, man. I was in hell. And you know what I said? And I'm going to tell you something. I was no more than 8 years old, and I said, to hell with this. I'm going to be a rebel. So I did everything. I didn't listen to anyone. I just rebelled back until I got to the point that I was stealing, lying, cheating, because it was survival time. Don't tell me I'm born a sinner. I couldn't understand that. Don't tell me I'm going to hell for something, you know. And listen, everyone, you're allowed to have your own views, but you're not allowed to come on Facebook and banter at us, because these are our views. And if they upset you, then you need to pick a new channel, because the reality is I'm going to teach every child out there they're not born a sinner. I'm going to teach every parent that they're not a sinner, that we come down to this life-threatening, fun-filled adventure where everybody lies, cries, and justifies by the time we get here. And why do they call parents adulterated? Is it because the same thing that's happening to their children happened to them and to their parents and their grandparents? And understand something.
That's right.
There's an elite force that has always controlled the world. And guess what? They've enslaved whoever they could. And even us so-called white people, we're slaves too. I know that we're not abused like other nationalities. And I'm going to have somebody talking next week coming on and talking about that. This whole Black Lives Matter and the whole thing and how it's twisted and how they use it, and they use it against us. They
Yes.
they want man and woman pinned against each other. They want parents pinned against their children. They want families pinned against other families. They want countries pinned against other countries. But I want you to pick it up from here, because I believe that unless we get rid of guilt, unless we get rid of the whole sinner syndrome, unless we do the lessons of learn, not burn, we're not going forward. And guess what? These people that, I don't know if you're going to touch on it today, because they're not people. They're not people. They feed off the rape, the murder, the pillage of children mainly. But do you know how many people go missing? Okay, I don't have it right here, but I'm telling you, it's shocking how many hundreds of thousands of children have just gone missing. I think it's like 480,000 children have gone missing, and understand something, have gone missing since Christmas in the United States. And I doubt if that number is even right. And here's the deal. So there's an elite situation, those elite people, those whatever they are, okay? And it just keeps going on. But understand, we are actually taught as parents to abuse ourselves, so we don't even know we're abusing our children, because you're run by your beliefs. Unless your beliefs are going to change, you're not going to change. And the reality is, if we don't learn that the spirit must be fed, then there's only one way we can expand, and that's consciously.
Well, yes.
Go.
You touched on so many great points. I can't remember them all, but what I wish to say just in response to that is that how do we get there? Because a lot of people are seeing the external and they're going, well, how do I solve that? And it's like, no, you can't. That's their world. That world was made for them and not for you. So unless you want to run in to save this dying carcass, which is really what the bottom line of it is that they will determine at their choosing when the system goes down and when it resurrects, period. End of story. But the truth of the matter is if you're sitting outside on the sidelines and you're going, look at how terrible it is, look at the accident that it is, look at how horrible every day of your life, then what you're doing is you're sucking the life out of yourself. And even as you get new refugees, the only place that they'll be able to stay with you is on the outside looking in.
So the bottom line is mind your own business, right?
Well, you have to mind your own business, but that you have to come back and re-embrace the world from the angle that you are a magnificent, precious, beautiful, spiritual being of light that was born into this world as a child of God, of God. Absolutely. Not the Catholic Church version, which hangs the guilt and the shame with the $2 billion in settlements of pedophilia and molestation over decades for the ones that could afford to go to court and the ones that had survived and the ones that had enough evidence to corroborate in order to prosecute to get those $2 billion. I just want to be very clear with people. Where this shit comes from, this evil, it's not just the church. It's what's above it and beyond it. But where you got this idea that children were born with original sin and somehow that translated into evil, ask yourself where in history, who said that, and where did Jesus say this? I just want to know where Jesus said this, because I can tell you one thing that Jesus did say. Jesus said that unless you humble yourself like these children here, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven.
There you go.
And when the disciples shooed the children away, he said, no, bring them to me. Never turn them away, for this world was made for them. And we have gotten so far away from that. We have God out of every institution, including science. And they broke up all the sciences into separate sciences to keep them mechanical, separate from each other. We were ruled for 1,500 years where God was on a kingly throne, and the kings and the queens and the churches, the popes and the priests, all represented that hierarchy of understanding. Then 500 years ago, we switched to Western civilization, and we threw everybody into this Carl Sagan we're just this little pale blue dot in the middle of this cosmos, and it's really so big, and God is so beyond our understanding, and really you should just surrender to the fact that you're nothing. And the divine feminine and the divine masculine were stripped out of society. Feminism is the antithesis of feminism.
And actually, if I can say something, that's when they really turned up the heat. But 5,000 years ago, government and church came together to actually create a wall in between man and woman. And then we started bringing woman down to almost like a pet, like a family pet, or she couldn't think as good. You know, she's a victim. She's weak. And the reality is women live longer and they can take more pain, but that's another topic. But the reality of this is I want to bring it back to something else you said. And nobody gets this. You know, you think you're having children because you're bored or you need to fix your relationship or your heart is empty. We have children because they are spirit messengers that come back to awaken the child, the spirit within us. We don't even get it. If we actually knew why we're having children, is that it's time for us to have children. We're adulterated, and they're going to come back and they're going to start walking, talking like us, and they're going to show us where we've screwed up, and they're going to bring us back into the sandbox of life, and no longer will we be living in the kitty litter. Thank you.
It's absolutely no. You know what? You reminded me of a quote that was from Alice Miller. And she said, this is an exact quote from one of her books. She said, I can imagine that someday we will regard our children not as creatures to manipulate or to change, but rather as messengers from a world we once deeply knew, but for which we have long since forgotten, who can reveal to us more about the true secrets of life and also our own lives than our parents were ever able to do. We do not need to be told whether to be strict or permissive with our children. What we need to do is to have respect for their needs, their feelings, and their individuality, as well as for our own. And when I look at this time and I look at everything that has been going on, not just in my life, but in the healing that I have done and taken upon that for which I am facing the truth about myself, about my childhood, about my mother and father. There's one commitment that you can make to yourself that is universally true if you wanted to. And that is that it ran in my family before it ran into me. That this shit ends with you in this timeline, and you're going to work on it as best you can, because even if you can do 10% better than you are right now, it's exactly where the world needs you to be. It is incumbent upon us who know the difference not to go out into the world and shame and badger everybody who is ignorant and stupid, or by our judgments, by our attachments, our resistance for or against. It doesn't matter what we think of them. But if we don't humble ourselves, which is to say, I need to look at where I came from before and all that happened to me before, and I have arrived here right now in this moment of reality. And everything that came before me led me to this moment here in my life. And everything outside of me that came before me arrived at this moment, because collectively we've all done this and played a role in it, in the unfolding of time, in the unfolding of consciousness, in the unfolding of humanity. I mean, I'm saying this, look, I studied human trafficking for 3 years. I was horrified, the depths of which I just didn't recommend it to people. I did a viral video last year that was seen by 80 to 100 million people worldwide. Didn't intend for it to go that way, but it went that way. And it just flowed out of me.
I saw that video, and you know what I said? I want to post this, but I can't post this because this guy, you know, people are going to think he's a nut job. They're going to think I'm a nut job because I didn't know you and I couldn't verify the information. And you came out so strong that it was like a punch in the face.
Yes. Yeah, it was. Look, this is what I'm telling people, like in the bigger picture of everything. It doesn't matter what John Paul Rice does or any of us. The names don't matter. I was a voice with a Instagram account, had no pre-planned, premeditated anything other than I was going to talk about the censorship.
Right.
And it turned into a 38-minute long video that everybody says I didn't stop watching. So why that is because it all flowed out. I had 700 followers, 3 to maybe 5, maybe a maximum of 8 people watching on the live stream. I sent the link out to a couple of people and it exploded overnight. What I'm trying to say is your voice and your intention and your authenticity and your truth is needed in this time. You need to be a willing participant to come forward. If it's just your own community, your family, call somebody up, tell them how much you appreciated the thing that they were not appreciated for that they did for you, or that one time that you really wish that you had said, whatever it is. Do it as authentically and honestly as real. This is the only time that we have left before anything starts to fall apart any further. And if we really say that we care about ourselves and each other, now is the time to realize that you are a precious child of God, that you are worthy of his love at all times. I am one of, I mean, I'm not the biggest sinner I know, but I definitely have sinned in my life. If you want to count, have a scorecard, all the mistakes that I made, all the unholiness that I did in my life, consciously and otherwise, and mostly unconsciously. And here I am, a changed man at 40, almost 43 years old, and I wouldn't give it up for anything in the world to be in this position right now, to have healed at the level of my soul that I needed to heal for all the shit that I had been through in my life with my childhood. You're talking to a man who at 7 years old tried to kill himself, wrote a suicide note, was in a hospital a year later, not a straitjacket or a padded cell. I was with children in 1986, 87, 88, around that time in Louisville, Kentucky. Children, a 12-year-old and a 13-year-old, Becky and Jennifer, who had been having sex for money since they were 10 and 11 years old. This is Kentucky. This isn't New York City. This is Kentucky, the boonies, the hicks, the rednecks. Among them, the poor, not the wealthy, the poor. One of them was broken, beautiful, and sweet. The other one was on her way to becoming a sociopath. And right next to them in the other room was a girl who had schizophrenia as a teenager. And I had no idea what I was looking at. All I knew is that I hated my body and I wanted to die. And I did not realize the trauma that had been done to me as a child because it had been banished. Like all children love their mother and father no matter what they do to them. That's why it's so damn hard. It's so damn hard to heal because the child in you will never surrender. Never. But that's your strength as well as your Achilles heel, unless you become the adult that loves your inner child and says, that's right, you were brave. You were a brave child and you made it through and you're here now for a very good reason. And what that reason is for you to discover, like you did when you were a child, in the world of wonder and creation and play, because that's where we all want to be. We all want to be back as children. Who didn't want to do that? If you look at, and I just want to give this as a practical example, and I want to turn it over. I want to end what I'm saying, but when you look at the structure of our lives as we've started as children to now, you can justify all of this, but here's what I'm going to tell you in the general sense. Look at the amount of play you had as a child before you went to school. Then when you went to school, it was scheduled in between learning, mealtime, rest time. Then it goes into other school where there's daytime, no rest, PE for 30 minutes, then back inside learning, and then extracurricular, study, go to sleep, and do it 5 days a week. And then weekends, you've got more stuff. Then you get out of school and you go into your job, and it's a benefit to have 2 weeks paid vacation.
Wow.
And if you have children, your children who are in school only have a couple of months off, but then you as parents have to rearrange your work schedule and those 2 weeks around your child's time. It's all designed to pull you away from play and imagination and creativity, which you're inherently born with as a child. In fact, there's a TED talk out there about 98% of all children born have genius, creative intelligence. 98%. And in 20 years, we go from 98% to 2%. And the education system is what strips that out of you, because what the education system does is it takes two parts of your brain, two different hemispheres. The manifesting side of decisioning, which is, I can't remember the name, I think it's cognitive. Cognitive part is your brake pad in your car. It's the decisioning. Yes, no, go, okay, I need to stop, I need to slow down. The other one is this other, which is manifesting endless possibilities of imaginations. The child at play who believes that for which it's riding on, that it's a broom to you, but it's a horse to the child. It really is a horse to that child because they believe it to be such a thing. That's why they're playing in such a real and magical way with that toy, because it's real to them. We have lost that. We've had that taken out of us, the divergent part, and we have fused it together with all of our decisioning between two choices, this choice or that choice, Coke or Pepsi, red or blue, right or left, Trump or Biden. All of it is in an echo chamber. It's a whole matrix of an echo chamber that keeps us in this false illusion.
Yeah, it was
And
actually,
all you have to do,
if I can
go
say
ahead.
something, it was set up like that to make you believe you had choice when you never had any choice at all, because it wasn't your choice, because it wasn't a creative choice.
That's right. And here's why you mentioned this earlier. We're going to say this. When you as a child didn't have a choice and they hurt you, is when you had to swallow it. And what we're seeing right now manifesting out on the news and everywhere else on social media where there's violence, what you're seeing right now is the explosion of those people who are finally now able to get it out. That all of this crap with this righteousness, with anger and hatred in your heart and violence, I'm just telling you, look, I'm accepting your belief in Black Lives Matter means nothing to the reality, but I'm accepting all the merits of it. And I do believe in the merits of it, of what someone who is not part of the Washington, D.C. establishment does believe in the goodness of things. Whenever the Washington, D.C. establishment or media, everybody needs to know this, please, for the love of God, think critically. Anytime they hand you something, they want you to take it. And when you do, they are delighted in that fact, because now you have given them endless news cycles to write about and stroke the flames of an issue. So congratulations, you've responded. I'm just telling you, I'm sick and tired of this. I'm sick and tired of doing that myself.
So am I. And, I had done like a one a day, and I talked about how Black Lives Matter, but let's stop this. All lives matter. And once there is no color, once there is no religion, once there is no different barriers in language, because it's called love is the only language, love is the only color,
right.
Love is the only nationality that should be here. So anyways, yeah, so I have somebody wants to come on and just talk about it. So we'll see.
Well, I'm all for talking about it, but I'm all for solutions, discussions, ideas. I don't need reinforced propaganda anymore. I've gotten my fill of it from both the right and the left. I get where they are. But I'm saying, okay, is that all that we are? These two positions. Is that all we are? Is that all we have to offer each other? Because it's not helping. Whatever this side is doing that this side is reacting to, or whatever this side is doing that this side is, everything is a reaction to each other, and it reinforces the same very things that they hate about each other.
Great divide.
That they despise about each other, because it's, you know what it is? It's the good looking at the good. Both of them see themselves as good. And that's where the proclivity to evil becomes, because one side has to be defeated, annihilated, destroyed. And this is the thing. You don't give energy to it. Those people that are drawn to that want to argue over it, that want to fight for it, that's their psychological conditioning. That is an unconscious issue that makes them driven. I'm not talking about people who run for office. I'm not criticizing anybody who's following the news and trying to make sense of it. What I'm talking about is a ritual. It's a trauma ritual. It's a trauma ritual that requires your belief to believe it's real because it's spoken into existence, like COVID-19 was spoken into existence. And look at the trauma that it created.
It's all about
Look at the
anxiety, push the panic button, have the reaction. You know, it's never staying calm and at peace and quiet enough to listen to the whisper of something bigger.
right. And here's the thing. I'm just saying all of these things, not just to you, but to your audience and how I feel. This is my perspective is like, look, you are in unprecedented times. There is nothing that's going back to the way it once was. Nothing. Nothing. That doesn't mean you give up values and traditions. In fact, that's where this is most important, that you start to live as the embodiment of everything that you are. And the only way that you can get there that I know is becoming the most true and authentic self by being true and authentic to yourself first, not as an appearance to somebody else, not based on expectations of what other people think of you, but having humility and being able to go to people and say, you know what? I said some things that were
Wrong.
wrong. I felt they were right. I still maybe even believe they're right, but I'm just going to say how it made you feel, how it caused you to react to me is not the kind of relationship I want to have with you. In other words, if we're going to solve this race issue, if that's the issue that needs to be solved, all it needs to be is this. You and I need to look each other in the eye and say, you know what? We need to know each other so well, such to the point that I can look you in the eye and you can look me in the eye, and we know where we stand amongst all this other bullshit that's going on around us. That means that my relationship with you can't be destroyed because of what some jackass on TV says or what my politician versus your politician says about another issue. That in fact, you and I actually have to deal in reality together versus the virtual reality that's being given to us and programmed all around us. And we can be lights in our community to people who are going to look to us and go, John, what do you think? Derek, what do you think? Daryl, what do you think? You know, it's like it matters now because you have taken on the responsibility, which is lacking, which has been derelicted. It's been granted authority over to the state. And you've got, people get on me about this. I came from the left. I know what I'm talking about on an emotional level. The right and the left express things vastly different. It doesn't mean one's better than the other. It's just a different expression. The left right now is demanding its authoritarian parents come in and decide who is telling us the truth and who's a liar, who is a good person and who is an enemy. And they are asking for things to be done to these people. And that in itself is going to stroke the right. And the right is not innocent, but the right has not had the power of the institutions, the media, and the government. It's a co-creation of a dualistic system that leaves you empty-handed every single time. It erodes more of your rights away from you while offering you empty-handed solutions and promises on the previous 4 years of the issues that it threw in your face and told you that these candidates cared about and were going to do something to resolve, and all they did was they lined their pockets. And you know this, but yet my government is corrupt, my media lies to me, but they're telling me the truth on my health. My government is corrupt. My media lies to me, but I know they're telling me the truth on this one issue about climate change because God only knows the climate is dying. Yes, it is, but they still tell you that the solution is to tear down millions of trees so that they can put these solar installations and windmills everywhere. We're going to kill millions of acres of trees in order to save the planet. That's their solution. They don't deny this, by the way. They don't deny any of this, that we have to kill millions of forests in this world in order to save the planet. Anyway, that's my end of my rant.
That wasn't a rant, but I want to go back for a second, and I want to say this to every parent out there. There's no guilt on the parent either, but the reality is that we all need to go in and rewrite our story. And that's the problem. We need to take a look at our story, our past, but we have to look at it objectively like a movie. And then we take that movie and we rewrite that movie. Instead of making it a horror drama, we make it into a love story adventure where we save ourselves and our children. You know what I mean?
There you go.
So everybody,
Yes.
no guilt attached here. But the reality is that who's going to stop the family curse? Who's going to become the family blessing? Who's going to actually say, wow, to fix this relationship with myself and my family, I have to fix it with my inner child. Who's going to do
Yes.
that? And the
Yes.
reality is we've all been taught by the outside world that if you go look in here, that you will probably turn to dust because you won't be able to
Mhm.
handle all that sin and all that evil. Meanwhile, inside here lies the holy grail of forgiveness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. You know, people ask, who've heard my story in my childhood, they've asked me, how did you heal? How is it that you came? And I'm telling you, I'm in the process of the last pieces of the old program. Um, but I came to forgive my mother and father for what they had done to me. And I had unconditional love for my dad when I was with him at the end of his life. And it was a beautiful experience, the whole thing. Um, I did it stumbling forward towards Christ and walking with Christ and God, um, in steps. I had to prove to myself that I knew that they loved me. And in some ways, I didn't demand that. It just showed itself
Like that
in steps
that
and
you had
ways.
value, you had worth, and that
I had value.
you weren't unworthy of this.
Right. And let me just say it's been a solid 2 year journey that where I started and where I am today,
Okay.
the depths that I've explored are undeniable, and they've given me great insight and let me say this, as I have traversed the pain of the emotional reality of my childhood in processing that, which is very frightening for people in the fear sense, because if they've ever felt that panic before, they know what I'm talking about, and it's frightening, it's terrifying. But what I'm saying is that is to come at it from a different angle. I tried therapies such as EFT, emotion freedom technique. I strongly recommend that. Matrix reimprinting with a therapist, a licensed therapist, is a probably of an even more higher accelerated rate. And I've told people what it simply is this: people with manic depression of 20 years have been cured in 60 seconds with this permanently. People who've been on drugs for years, and they go in, and what they do is they go into a memory that has a trauma associated, emotional trauma, not severe, but enough. And they freeze frame it, and you go in and you rescue your child. And I know that sounds that's very simplistic, but in the brain, hypnotic level of the brain where you're working from in the subconscious, this is unlocking so many doors and knocking so many walls down that in the days and months and weeks after, you will not believe the lightning that comes off of you, the weight that is shed permanently. It's like a no more triggers, right? It's not a coping mechanism. It is a gateway to a new future. And it
So
took me 2 years. Yeah,
I
yeah,
was just going to say, so a thought is not just a thought. And if you keep reactivating the thought that you don't even know that's in your subconscious, then you know what? It's like a revolving door of hell. So a
yes,
thought is not just a thought. And we don't even know. It could be a smell, it could be a name,
that's
it could
right.
be
That's right.
something that just happened and you just went like this and you go, I don't know why, but right now I feel terror running through my body. And you don't even know because it's
Right.
down in the subconscious recesses of your mind. And so that's why
Yes.
people need to go in there and
Yeah.
uncover and
Yeah.
discover what they don't even know that's laying there.
That's right. And the thing is today that most people who are hearing this for the first time, or maybe they've heard a little bit about it and they're apprehensive, it's like what I tell them is that 10, 20 years ago, this was not mainstream, but it's coming online now. And it's got enough evidence to support the results over decades now, but more importantly, it's a very gentle way to deal with these painful emotions. My choice was a regimen to dive in because the way in which I was raised, I had to be the most brave and strongest and endure, and I had near psychotic breaks when I was a child. So I'm talking about where I'm traversing the understandings and the origins of mental illness and where schizophrenia comes from and how I saw it evolve in people. I lived in LA for 19 years. I literally watched people devolve into mental illness over time. And you still see the beauty that's still coming through, that's still a little lucid until it can't anymore. Um, I'm saying these things because in the final analysis, it's how we see ourselves and who we truly are. And the more honest we become with who we are and the more gentle we become, that shame will leave. It will leave you. And I tell people to go outside and earth every day for 20 to 40 minutes if you can. It'll do more health benefits to you than working out at the gym. For inflammation, blood pressure, negative ion discharge, all of it. It's your mood. Everything will begin to breathe in you again. It's like your skin will get better. I mean, these are things that we just haven't been taught, but are there, and the information is there, and it's just like us organizing it into a routine that doesn't mean it's something extra we have to do. It's actually something less we have to worry about because it detoxifies our body and our mind. And to get more connected to the earth is where we need to go. Plant-based medicines, holistics. I mean, I'm not an expert in any of this stuff, but I'm just telling you, it's like once you know what you are, once you know the preciousness, the magnificence, the special, not in spiritual ego, but in just that you are as is everyone else, you begin to see yourself in everyone else. When you realize that you are no different than your mother and father in terms of your suffering is their suffering and their suffering was your suffering, the variety and the variables to which you came to those traumas is different, but the fear is the same in everybody. Everybody who's felt fear has felt fear is the same level of fear that you have had. May not have been the frequency, may not have been the duration of it, but fear, you know what fear is. I know what fear is. These are the things that where we can find understandings in ways that we're not sitting there judging ourselves and then judging somebody else. And then you have two unconscious people debating crap that they don't really even know is happening and going on because they're locked into their opinions and how they view things because it just works for them and they separate themselves from everybody else. And that separateness is being exploited right now. And this is the only thing I want to say about it. For anybody who has any question as to the urgency and the need for being involved with children in this time, young children, your children, other people's children, doesn't matter. Children today at a record number are turning to Satanism. The curiosity is peaking. The programming of Hollywood with the Ouija boards, with the sexuality, the hypersexualized materialist culture, the nihilism, the contradictions, all of it, guys. And you can think it's just over there, but it's not. It's permeated throughout our pornification of our entire society. 50 to 60 to 70 million people today in the United States watch porn on a regular basis. Many of those people in relationships, many of those people in marriages, having children. Do not think for a minute that your child, just because your child is not doing it, that other children aren't as well. Young people are not actively marching and protesting for Satan. But in a world like this, which is all they've known, one woman whose mother was a Christian, who abused her as a child, pushed her away from God. And only because I had a conversation with her and I told her, not scolding her, I just told her, it was in the moment. I told her a couple of things. I said, you don't want to go down that road. I understand why you feel that way. It's a logical conclusion. It's a street level, walking in off the street into the next door that's open. That's all this is. This is not your satanic enemy. These are all children who've been hurt and abused, and the world is giving them an identity that says you are valid. And when that kind of crap happens, what that means is that some parent along the way failed that child, whether consciously or otherwise. That child is now being spoken for and spoken to by somebody else who is not part and parcel for the best interests of what's going on with that kid. It wants a cult. It wants a gang. It wants a family, and it's going to call its family towards itself in whatever way it feels is right for it.
And if I can say something, that brings me to something, and that's this. By the time you're a teenager, you're looking for a new family, because when you came into this world, you were treated with unconditional love. You could throw up on your parents' poop. You could keep them up all night. You started walking and talking. Then you started getting punished because they didn't know that you were acting like them and you were mirroring them and you were trying to give them a gift. So the reality is you went from unconditional love to conditional love. And so you're looking for someone that'll give you unconditional love.
That's exactly it. It's the same thing that when Ghislaine Maxwell could walk into the trailer park in West Palm and the girls would jump into the car or the van or whatever it was, whatever vehicle was waiting to take them somewhere from their trailer park home, they were able to make them leave their houses, leave their families, leave whoever they were living with behind, just with alcohol, the offer of money, and drugs. That was it. That's all it took.
Yeah, but John Paul, if you had the feeling that you weren't good enough as a person, you
That's
know
right.
that alcohol is going to bring you into a different state. You know that drugs are going to bring you into a different state. So I'm just going to
Right.
become someone else because I can't stay this person because I let my family
That's
down,
right.
I let the world down. So I'm going to go and become someone else, and maybe that'll work out.
Yes, and children don't know anything different because they're not like you and I who can look back and see our past decisions having trajectories. Whereas their trajectory, all they know is up, 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 up. This is where I'm going, and next to the next moment, to the next, to the next, to the next. They're still, even though they're seeking a future, they're still more in the present moment than we are. And it's not until we, in many cases, most of us come into our 30s, 40s, and maybe even 50s where we start to slow down and say, Jesus, I got to change some things here because this, sometimes you have to have a scare. Sometimes you have to have tragedy befall you or hit rock bottom before you wake up. But with these children, they haven't hit rock bottom yet. They just know they're at a low and they want to feel high. And that's all these pimps and grifters are doing. They're coming right in and they're just saying, okay, you want to get high? Cool. We got the things to get you high. And, you're sexy. Come on, let's have some fun. We'll teach you how to make some money. Whatever it is to get them in that car, they're luring them away. And that's a statement. Really, what I'm saying here is it's a statement about our disconnect with society to not realize that child abuse creates most of the hell in the world, not just at a poverty level. That's the thing that everybody thinks it's just in poverty. No, no, no. White collar crime is as equal percentage as blue collar and poor. The difference is the resources that they have available to them in terms of education and money. But the others are just at a limited level where they have to go and rob the local street corner, whereas somebody in the white collar world is basically destroying companies and doing it through legitimate means. So we have to get off this notion that child abuse is somehow compartmentalized to just human trafficking, sexual abuse, beating of kids. There's humiliation, there's neglect, there's psychological, emotional, mental torment. You can get the whole ball of wax with a narcissist in the family, and a narcissist is the starting point. And next you go to a sociopath, and then next you're at a psychopathic level. So my thing is that you can't rid the world of all of this in one fell swoop. But what you can do is you can start loving and embracing yourself unconditionally with that love, because as you raise your vibration, you will help heal everybody else around you. If you heal, you will heal. If you hurt, you will hurt. It's really that simple.
So if I can say this, it's like this. For myself anyways, everybody else can do what they want with it. But the reality is that I realize there's a game going on, and the majority of the people don't understand the game. It's been going on since
Right.
the beginning of time.
Yes.
Human beings have never been totally free. They've been given the illusion of being free. That's not
Yes.
going to change because we would need to bring the vibration up as a world family to have that happen. So that's why
Right.
when I say mind your own business, and that business is about learning how to love and care for the spirit of this body, first and foremost, because feed the spirit, heal the body. And we're too focused on the
Yes.
physical. And they do that on purpose. Focus on the physical. Focus on physical things that you need, you want. We can get them for you.
Vanity.
That's right. And I want to go back to one other thing that you said, and that was is the reactivation of things continually and not knowing that you're being reactivated, and you're being
Yeah.
reactivated on purpose because you're feeding somebody else's agenda. So, did you ever hear this one? I'm a 3-time cancer survivor. So that person takes all this energy, gets rid of the cancer, but they didn't get rid of the belief that created it. So
Right.
that's
Right.
why you keep on being a survivor, because if you don't work with the emotional issue, and if you don't go back and look at your so-called history and then take his story and rewrite it and make your own story, then you'll become a 5-time survivor until you can no longer survive this.
That's exactly right. This is about the biology of belief, which goes into Joe Dispenza, Bruce Lipton, and Greg Braden's work on heart-mind coherence.
Yes.
And I mean, that's not my subject, but I came into understanding of all that by doing it myself, and it is absolutely 100% true. I mean, people who used to know me like 10 years ago, I'm almost 43 years old, and I'm not like trying to say I'm the best looking 43-year-old, but people who knew me even 10 years ago, I looked older then. And what I'm saying is that when you heal these traumas in you permanently, your DNA begins to change. It begins to rewrite itself. It comes. I'm not trying to say about, just like simplify it into 5D ascension or anything like that. What I'm talking about is that the trauma energies that are in your body vibrating go away and are replaced with something more harmonic frequency coming in within you and in your heart, and that begins to change your DNA, and it begins to change the body. I mean, I'm not sitting here saying I'm like like totally going backwards like Benjamin Button or something like that, but it all of the things that are outside in the world as vanity are the exact opposite of the things that you can do. I'm not talking about cosmetics. I'm talking about surgeries. I'm talking about adjustments. Um, I'm just saying, in your life, you're in my lifetime, we're going to be watching people who literally have grown appendages put on their bodies as avatars. That is going to happen in our lifetime, and especially among the newer generation, because what most people don't understand about the transhumanist agenda is it's a multi-phase agenda of consciousness into mechanical form, and it's going to be sold to people with all the benefits of upgrading their body and their biology through technology, because we have destroyed that part for which we're born in, and it's the biological AI that we have, as opposed to the artificial intelligence that they want to replace the biological AI with. That's a whole other show.
Which we
And
will
I would
which
point,
we will touch on. Okay. And if I
yeah,
can say
yeah,
something, the only way that you can get somebody to put robotics into them or an appendage onto them is to totally beat up their self-worth their whole life, because I need something to stand out. I need something to be proud of. So I need to become different, and I'm going to become different, more different than anyone else.
that's right. And this is the thing where, I don't believe in letting the ignorance of people determine what I'm going to do. In other words, I just put it out there because I'm not here to capitalize on this. But for example, if you wanted to take technology and do something today to help people, well, I was saying, if you want to help people in, let's say, like technology, you have virtual reality today that could be used to reprogram the subconscious mind, not with video games or adventures or pornography, but you could actually give people the experience of a baby's actual night of sleep. Like, Virtual reality today is not just an Oculus Rift of a vision. They have suits now that all the pressures, all the heat, the temperature, the touches, the sensation can be felt simultaneously throughout the body as though it's a real experience. Air pressure, for example, can be experienced in virtual reality now. And I've actually done it, but the point being is that the brain and the subconscious mind treats all of that as real and records it in the brain. So, in other words, if we were able to give children the experience of a calm, pleasurable night of sleep, like a program in a virtual reality, what that could mean for a child who has never been embraced or loved by its mother, what we could re-encode and re-entrain in the child's mind to be able to experience that, and what that outcome may bring for children of abuse who could then have a reprogrammed subconscious mind and also healed that trauma and change their life around. We could also create standards in healthcare where we have doctors and nurses who handle babies in neonatal care, right? But with a virtual reality suit. Now, think about it this way. You have a whole set of doctors going through schools every year, all of them coming from different family backgrounds, different childhoods, different parent situations, all wanting to be doctors, always wanting to work with children. But what we have learned in history is that the way that child is handled in its earliest days is encoded into its reality as it will continue to live forward every day from that moment, whether it remembers it cognitively or not. So what the point would be is to have all these doctors and nurses where they could experience the handling and the care that they have for each child that they're holding in a virtual reality environment. And the child, they would hear what the child hears, they would see how the child sees, and they would feel everything that the child feels, and what kind of feedback that would give to re-entrain the subconscious mind about childcare. I'm just saying there's so many things that we can just start thinking about. What are the solutions? Not the arguments, not the sides going at it, but to move past all of that, to go above it. Instead of thinking this choice or that choice, think about, well, maybe it's a little bit of this and a little bit of that and put it together, or maybe or this way or that way, or possibly this, or before I defeat before I defeat an attempt at something that I may have tried before with the correct, let me say, the correct analysis, but the wrong prescription, the correct diagnosis, but the wrong prescription. Try a different prescription. Try a different way. Try a different way of thinking. Go down that road to prove that it is or is not possible. Or if you want both between the two choices that you're trying to decide, pick the best parts of them and see if you can sequence them in order to get the dessert you want. You know, in other words, don't deny yourselves the things that you can't have or didn't have before. Become entitled, but in a way that is not the denial of what everyone else has to pay for, but what you pay yourself with. And the reward is that you'll become a more full, whole human being by pursuing something that is meaningful, even if it's a hobby. You need to reimagine the world in play as a child does, with endless possibilities that you've never thought of before. And that's hard for a lot of people, but you have to give yourself the space. Meditation, prayer, these are the places where you have to quiet the mind. Havening by Paul McKenna. You can elicit delta waves within 10 to 15 minutes of just following a simple exercise of, rubbing your shoulders, your eyes, and then doing the guided meditation for 15 minutes. You can get all of that immediately without paying a single dime other than your time. And I'm not a perfectionist at any of this methodology, but I've tried it for the last 2 years. And haphazardly, I came up with my own regimen to get where I am today. And I can only tell you that, yes, I've cried a lot of tears, man. It's been a painful journey to get here. But I would not, for any reason today or any other day, trade this for any moment in my past. Guaranteed 100%. I am so happy to be alive today and to feel the things that I'm feeling, and to be able to move past my pastness, move past my old story, move past the ways in which I was ignorant that caused me to be blind and no longer see, and deaf and not hear the truth that was right in front of me. And it's like, and this is true of all of us. This isn't true of just somebody over here, somebody over there. You have to embrace your limitations. You have to look at what you can do with what you have around you and then start leveling up in little places. You know, Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life. If you need a structural foundation, there it is. I started with that and I just kept building on all those things. Make your bed, clean your room. All of it starts to add up because it's reigniting that brain of yours into an order through the chaos. And when you reestablish order walking through the chaos, what you're going to do is you're going to become a very wise person. And you're going to become, because you become a responsible person for yourself and all the other people around you. And it's not about going around and shaming everybody and telling them, you know, you need to be doing this. No, no, no. It's just simply this. You know you better than anybody else. And it's what agreements you're going to make with yourself that you're going to hold to no matter what comes. And that's ultimately where faith in Christ come in, for me at least, because the world, I don't have any structure in the world that makes total sense for me that I can follow that still rewards me in the ways where I have, quote, less, and yet I've gained so much more. That's really what it comes down to, is that all of the ideas and illusions that I had about the world, I had to let them go. And I had to then let go of my own. And I had to start from ground zero and rebuild my life from childhood up as to what I felt emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually. And all I did in the process was not know myself, but watch myself every single step of the way in little ways. And I can tell you this, 4 years later, if you had told me this 4 years ago, that this is where I'd be, not a guy who's famous, not anything of that, but just where I would be in my mind and in my body, I would have told you were out of your mind. I would have said there is no way from 4 years ago to now that I could see myself becoming the person I was. And all it took, I'm saying this so that people do it. You say it, you speak it into existence. I said, I am putting my foot down and I am turning and I am pivoting to a new future. And I had no idea what the hell that looked like, but I did it and I said it and I spoke it into existence and it became true. It
Gentle,
became true.
gentle baby steps where you put a little mini you on your shoulder and you just observe with unconditional love and go, don't want that anymore, but I'll take some of that. And if you were to change 1% every day, just think about it. That'd be 100 days. But the reality is to create a dominant, prominent belief, you've got to do it 10,000 times. So the reality is you're going to go, well, that would be kind of robotic. Well, guess what? How did you think you learned everything? You learned it through mastering and repetition. You never become a master
Yeah.
at anything unless you repeat it. And you got to repeat it a lot of times. But once you repeat it, you know, right now, I think that John Paul, right now, you could be in an unconscious state walking down the road, but now your prominent dominant beliefs are based on, okay, the followings of Jesus Christ and unconditional love. So you can actually be in an unconscious state, because most people are only conscious 5% of the day. But at least if you're in an unconscious state now, you're not going to hurt yourself and you're not going to hurt anyone else, because your main belief is not that the world is full of fear and it's threatening and it's a doggy dog, but it's unconditional love for me and everyone else. So then
That's abs-
if that's the prominent dominant belief, then you've just created a whole new reality.
Yes. That is a excellent point, which is what the whole purpose of what I say Christ is. If you're following the teachings of Jesus and you don't look at this as a story of 2,000 years ago, but a story about you right now, and you extrapolate on all the principles about the children, about loving your enemy as yourself,
Yes.
no greater love than to lay down one's life for one's friends, not family, not your own blood, but for friends. And then you go to the final, I think the crux of Christ as far as us in our role is the shepherd who watches over the sheep, the sheeple, the ignorant, the deplorable, the sinners, the lowest of the low that society claims is the problem. And what did he do with his sheep? If one of those sheep were to stray away, one of those ignorant sheep were to stray yet again, he would stop, leave the other 99 behind, and go after that one, searching day and night until it could be found and brought it back home. And if we reconcile our differences and do this the way that it can be done without declaring an enemy, Ephesians 6:12 should be contemplated by every single person in the world, and understand that it is not flesh and blood that you're fighting. You're fighting forces that are going to work on humanity in ways that you cannot see through the illusion. And the only way that you're ever going to get out of this is never by finding an endless enemy to defeat a Satanist, a New Ager, whatever it is. You're not going to be able to save the world, but who you can save is yourself, and then you can save others. But the main thing about it is this: a higher trust society begins to emerge when you see yourself as a child of God and everybody else as a potential for that same divinity as they were born as. If you don't see it in front of you right now, know that it was there, and that spark, even though it's very dimly lit in some versus others, is still there too. And God is doing everything that he can. The All-Father, the Father of all, is doing everything he can, even with his son, even with all their ignorances, to help until there is no more that it can. That's my belief, because if I play petty with God and I think I know better, I'm putting my authoritarian parents as the decider of what is right and just. And then I go off into a place where I start condemning people, which is exactly the opposite of what Christ did. So I tell people is like, start with the Gospels, go right into John. That's the heart of God right there in the Gospel of John. And then if you want to read the rest of the Bible, reconcile the rest of the Bible against Christ, because to me, there is no contradiction in Christ. I understand we are all here. We've got our different avatars. We've got our different flavors, what works, what doesn't work. Some people can have spiritual connections. Some people can't. I'm not here to judge who is more spiritual or not and who's doing what right and not. But start somewhere and keep discovering and keep learning as you wish to play, as you find peace and joy in the process of discovering who and what you truly are. And in that discovery, no matter what your discovery is in opposition or comparison to this person over here, it's your discovery. It's for you. It's for you to discover and enjoy, not anybody else to discover and enjoy. You can bring other people along for the ride, but it's your life. And if you choose not to enjoy it, the only person at the end of the day, and this was said to me a couple of years ago, and I hated this person for saying it to me. He said, the only person that's hurting you is you. The only person that's holding you back is you. And I didn't want to hear it, man. I did not want to hear it, because I had been wronged. I had been hurt. I had been lied to. And what I had done was I had done all of those things. They were first done to me as a child, yes. But I had to look back and realize that I had done all of the very same things that I had accused the world of to myself. All of the women I had dated in LA, the crazy ones, this is not an indictment on them. I picked them. I picked them. I picked them. They didn't have to come to me. I picked them. Whether I knew what I was doing or not, it didn't matter. I chose to be in that relationship and do the things I did.
We're all co-creators.
Yeah, that's it. And anyway, this is not a confessional, but I guess what I'm saying is I had to own up to all of these things about myself in order to begin to heal, because otherwise I was going to be seeking an answer outside of myself forever. I was going to be looking for a savior. I was going to be looking for a president. I was going to be looking for an icon. I was going to be looking for a hero. And the hero of this story, like you said, is you. You're the hero of your own story if you wish to be. You could be the one who rescues the family, saves your soul, saves the world. Who knows? But I mean, I look at somebody, I don't know your whole story, but I look at somebody like yourself and I can tell you, you've lived a school of hard knocks. Not that you're a bad person, but that you don't become wise by getting knowledge acquired. You become wise by taking a look at your life and looking back on your movie and realizing that there was divinity in all of it throughout all of the troubles. Go back and read that book again, and you'll see new things that you didn't see before. It's that, I guess it's so simple. It's hard for some, um,
It comes
but it
down
takes that self reflection to be able to heal.
yeah, and it comes down to, what do I want to be, a victim or a hero?
Yep.
You know, you
So
so
yeah.
anyways, so a couple things. First of all,
Yeah.
I would like you to send me the link if you could, and
Mm-hmm.
to remember the talk you did 2 years ago.
Yep.
Okay, so if you could send me the link, I'm going to put it on Telegram. Okay,
Okay.
I'll put it on Telegram again, and what I'll do is we'll put this show on Telegram, right, Drake? And then I'll put this show on, and then I'll put the link from 2 years ago, so everybody who's watching the show can go watch it on Telegram. We also put it on BitChute. It'll also be on Rumble, okay? But we won't put it here because it won't stay on Facebook. It won't stay here at all. It'll be dropping off really fast. And but so my Telegram is t.me/the doc of detox. And if you don't know what Telegram is, download it on your phone or download it on
Yeah.
your computer. That's where you're going to get all the information that you can't get because it's being fact checked. Okay. And I
Right.
also want to say something else. When you were talking earlier about how reactivation of programs, okay, reactivation of emotions. Everybody, I did a master class, and it's called The Emotional Chemistry of Cancer, Disease, and Healing. And you can actually go watch that, or you could read it, and it's in my library. Go to docofdetox.com, click at the top of the page, okay, and go into the library, and just click on the emotional, the again, the emotional intelligence of cancer, disease, and healing, and go watch that video. It's about 2 hours long, but it's going to show you exactly what John Paul was talking about, how we reactivate things. So we have to go in and erase and replace. And if we don't do
Mm-hmm.
that, and if we don't get ourselves off the bloody hook, okay, we're going to be hanging there for a long time. And I think that's really about it. And I just wanted to tell
Yeah.
everybody that, you know what? I'm going to tell you something. This was a very intelligent interview with you, and I want to have you back. But this is intelligent, and this is from the heart, and you're not selling anything except the God's truth. And I really want to thank you, my friend.
Thank you. You know what? Whatever brought us together today, I really appreciate you. I can feel that you've done a lot of help to the world, and you inspire. I mean, I'm saying this in all sincerity. You inspire people like me to keep going, because not keep going in my life, but keep going, that you don't know what is possible when you speak from the heart. And when you heal yourself, as you heal, you can heal other people. You can always do something. You can always be somebody to somebody else. So I really appreciate you so much. And I thank you for bringing me on and introducing me to your audience today.
Oh, well, I'd love to have you back on. So if you want to come back on, you know what? After this few weeks of kind of craziness,
Yeah.
because you know what? I'll be living in Mexico in 6 weeks, and in Ixtapa, Mexico, and we're opening up what's called the Ixtapa, okay, World Training and Healing Center. It's got 220 rooms there, and what we're doing
Oh, wow.
is we're bringing like-minded people and everything. I don't care what it is. If somebody's trying to be a gift or trying to heal the world, we're welcoming professionals of any sort, or you don't even have to be a professional. If you've got a gift and you want to come down there and you want to do a training, you're not going everybody's going to come down there, and we are going to make sure that people are treated properly. I mean, I'm talking about accommodation. I'm talking about coming down and doing a training inexpensively and gifting the world.
Mhm.
And we're also building it's called the Crystal Palace Studio. And we're building this huge studio that people can come down and use our studio to actually do shows or do trainings or online
Oh, cool.
courses. Oh, yeah. And it's a beautiful place. If you look up Ixtapa, John Paul, it's a population of approximately around 3,000, 10,000 when there's tourists, but there's not a lot of tourists now. But the reality is it's totally clean, bike trails. There's a little island just 15 minutes away you can snorkel at. But we got 2 pools there. We got a water slide for the kids. We got a lazy river for them right in Ixtapa Palace. So we're going down there to create a whole new adventure and to bring like-minded people and have a community of Bravehearts come together. Okay?
That's beautiful.
Yeah, and I just want to say this, and I'm not trying to cut into it because I was saying this now. Anybody, if you want the next 6 weeks, every Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I'm going to be coming on live and answering questions because we're getting tons of calls because, John Paul, we have people from all over the world that actually want to move out of their country down to here for the next, whether it's a month, 3 months, or a year, because as soon as I get there, I'm doing a 28-day training on how to become a New World practitioner.
That's incredible. I mean, these are the things that people need this now more than ever. This is the new industry. This is the new world coming into being. The old world is going away, and it's a system of death, and we have to bring forward a system of life and love. That's really that's the peaceful way out. Otherwise, we're going to be fighting ourselves for a very long time and building potentially future prisons.
What do you?
So we need to bring.
What do you do now? What is it that you do? Because, you do know that you're gifted, and you do know that you speak well, and you do know that, your message is so palatable that people need to have that as well.
Well, I'm in the middle right now. I'm doing post-production on my 7th film in 11 years that I'll be releasing later this year, and I've got to focus on that. I've got a studio that I'm building. So when I say a studio, I don't mean a physical building. I'm bringing independent film to South Carolina as a hub for independent film.
Okay.
We're gonna be doing a slate of movies over 5 years, financing all of that, private money in the state with local talent, and I'm going to teach. My goal is to teach the next generation of filmmakers starting in South Carolina out of school, so that they have a professional experience, so they don't have to go to New York or LA to get into further debt, quote, pay their dues, just so they can work their way up and hopefully one day make their film. I want them to be able to do it with professionals, with a professional mentality and skill set, and we're going to get them to that so that we can fund their films there. Speaking wise, well, it's kind of difficult to say like what I would do with that, because I could see myself doing that, but I don't want that to be like what I'm known for. In other words, I don't want to be a professional speaker. I've been encouraged throughout all my life. I was a salesman. I was very good at a young age. A good trainer, a good teacher. I'm great to talk, I guess, and I love talking. But at the same time, I don't know that that's my role in this time. So I'm just kind of letting.
Hey, you're doing what you need to do. That's it right there.
Yeah. I mean, I know what you're saying. I have seen it. Other people have said it. I've had, a lot of people say you'd be excellent for this. I'm sure I will play some kind of role in the unfolding of that. I just don't know what it is. And I'm not trying to seek an audience, I guess is what I'm saying. If it happens, it happens.
Well, I'd love to have you back on in a few weeks if you'd like.
Yeah. Huh?
I'd like to have you back on in a few weeks if you'd like to come on.
Absolutely. I would love to. And we can talk about whatever you want. And if I didn't, I know I said a lot of good things, but if there's a different way to do the show or conduct it in a better way, I'm totally open.
No, it worked perfect for me. It was a home run, my friend.
Okay.
And,
awesome.
Okay. You have the best day of your life, my friend. And thank you for an amazing interview. And, I'm so glad that you found yourself.
I'm glad I found you too.
All right. Be well.
All right, brother. Have a good one. Bye.
You got it, my friend. All right. So anyways, for me, that was a great interview, and I hope you enjoyed it, everybody. And just know this. Those of you who would like to come on, I'm going to be coming on Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for the next few weeks, because we have so many people getting in touch with us wanting to know about Ixtapa. And just know this, if you're a practitioner, this Tuesday, we're going to be having a practitioner meeting for Extapa. Those who want to come take courses, those who are interested in Extapa can join us. But to join that meeting, you'll have to go to www.newworldpractitioner.com. That's this Tuesday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And this Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time is everybody. If you want to come on, listen to what we're planning, where we're going, what we're doing. You can ask questions about our personal treatment and trainings. That you can come down with your friend, or you can come down with your partner. You can come down as a group. We do 5 different personal treatment and trainings down there. One is called Pain-Free Pregnancy for couples. And then we have another one that's called the Family Personal Treatment and Training, where families come together to learn how to love themselves, love each other, but to learn how to eat right, think right, drink right, and to understand about the body, and how we teach you how to do Wolfe Non-Surgical so you can work on each other. All right? Why do you want to be suffering? And it's like, you know, you don't want to be going from treatment to treatment. Why can't somebody in the house become your practitioner? That's what we need. Is we need a practitioner in every home. So I've got 5 different personal treatment and trainings. And if you want to go to personaltreatmentandtrainings.com, you can go take a look at those 5. You can just come down and get Wolfe Non-Surgical, or you can get treatments. We have the most amazing energy medicine. You can come down there just to do juice fasting. Okay, we're going to be making juices all day long. Okay, vegetable juices, fruit juices, have fruit for you to eat. It's we're really trying to make this a family healing personal experience, no matter what situation you're in. Okay. And for those of you, like I said, who are practitioners, please go to www.newworldpractitioner.com and log in if you want, but do it now. And then you'll be able to attend that meeting, because you'll get all the information. And if something happens and you don't get it, call 855-900-4544 extension 5. Again, those of you who just want to learn about what we're up to in Extapa, the general populace, please just go to docofdetox.com, right on the front page, and it says join our Braveheart Nation. If you sign in there, okay, you're going to get an email right up until Monday morning. Okay, right up until Monday morning, and then we're going to email out the last time Monday morning, and you'll get the link to the Zoom, and you can come on, and we'll just come together as a Braveheart family and figure this thing out. Okay. And also on Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, I'll be on with Terry Mullins, and he's the inventor of the only pure iodine in the world, that you can actually take this iodine and do a teaspoon once every 12 hours. That's 2 teaspoons a day. And actually within 2 weeks do a blood purification of the body. You can actually nebulize it and help to clean up the lungs. This iodine will actually disinfect when it goes into the body and turn into iodide, and then go into the parathyroid and thyroid. And it also is 10,000 times smaller than nano. You heard what I said. So it goes everywhere in the human body, crosses the blood-brain barrier. And then on Tuesday, July the 13th at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, we'll be doing a live Q&A. We'll answer all your questions on iodine, and you have no idea how that will take care of menopausal problems, take care of period problems, take care of weight problems, take care of mood problems, take care of metabolic problems, take care of disinfecting a virus within 15 seconds in the human body. I can go on and on. Wednesday, July the 14th, we will at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, I'm going to be coming on and doing the 6-day advanced water fasting challenge preparation, and that's at 10 o'clock. And this is where we guide people to go into 2 weeks of the Perfect Day Diet, which is a more whole plant-based diet. And then on August the 1st, we're going to go into a 6-day advanced water fast. But I'm going to guide you. I'm here. I'm going to hold your hand. I'm going to guide you through it. You can do 1 day, 6 days, or you can go even longer, stronger, and know that I'm here for you. Okay? And remember something. When you water fast, you release more stem cells, create more stem cells in your body, and you do more autophagy, which means you eat up the things you shouldn't have in there, like disease. And it helps to bring up your mental capacity. It helps you to expand your conscious. Why did Jesus fast 40 days? He didn't have a weight problem, didn't have an autoimmune disease, which means attacking yourself. He wanted to bring up his vibration so that he could connect to the creator of all things. All right, Thursday, July 15th, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. July 15th, the 6-day advanced water fasting challenge preparation. I will be with Joshua Flint, and we'll be talking about life crystals and how you can take them during a water fast and they enhance it. They don't interrupt it. And how you can do fulvic and how it won't interrupt it. And we'll be talking about a few other products, 5 different products that you can do on a water fast that'll make your fast 1,000% better than just doing a water fast. And there's nothing like a water fast. And just know right now, we have the Super Sunburn sale on 15% off until 1 minute to 12 Monday night. And then after that, 1 minute to 12 Monday night, it switches to the iodide sale. Iodine disinfects and then turns into iodide for the body. But iodide, when you just take iodide, it goes into your parathyroid, thyroid to balance your hormones, especially people with problems like that. And understand, it's the only pure iodine. Did you know that Nacean iodine? Did you know that Lugol's iodine is not pure? Did you know it can cause metabolic problems? Well, there is no toxic value to infinite iodine. So we sell iodide and iodine. It comes in a 1 ounce bottle. It'll be 15% off starting this coming Monday, okay? Monday at midnight, okay? And that'll be on for 1 week, all right? And don't forget, everyone, we'll be back here on Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you'd like to know about Extapa and so go to docofdetox.com front page, click on Braveheart Nation, put your email in. And those of you who are practitioners or want to take my course called the New World Practitioner Course, Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, you need to go to www.newworldpractitioner.com. Have a beautiful day and understand something in this, okay? Braveheart, 3, 2, 1, we got this. I just wanted to pop on and give you some highlights because we've been getting texts, emails, phone calls, asking us questions about our big move. What's that big move? What's that big move? Well, that big move is Extapa World Healing and Training Center. That's right. We're moving about 70% of our staff down there, and it's going to grow, grow, grow. Yes, we will be leaving our clinic open in Canada. We will leave our fulfillment running. Also in the States, we've got 3 fulfillment centers down there, but Mexico, Extapa, will be the head office. And just so you know, we love families. And if you bring your children down, we will have nannies to look after them while you're in training, whether it's a personal treatment and training or whether it's a certification course. Just know that. And guess what? Did you know this? We have an actual water slide. That's right. With a big mountain. It's 4 stories high with a water slide. We also have a floating river. We also have a children's play park. This is what it's all about. It's about family. And you know what? It's about coming together, not staying apart. And people are going to be coming down for trainings for 1 week up until 1 year. I'm not going to get into all that today, but we have our New World practitioner training, where that is actually 28 days. You can stay for 22 for the main gist of it. And then the last few days is where you get together with me 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours at night. And we really tighten things up for you on a business level, on a marketing level, on a client level, and on a personal level. So you can stay for the last 6 days and we're going to tighten everything up, or you can just come down and do the 22 days and leave. And then we have 5 personal treatment and trainings. That's right. We have the pain-free pelvis training for women that have had pelvic problems, where they can come down and bring their husbands or bring their partner or bring a friend, and we will train you with the Wolfe Non-Surgical, and we'll teach you how to eat and treat yourself right and how to reverse the irreversible, how to make impossible into I am possible. And we're also doing trainings down there in Wolfe Non-Surgical sports technique, bodywork technique. We're also doing couples training. We're doing families training. All right. So we're going to have lots of training. And one of the main trainings we're going to be doing that we're going to be promoting all over the world, and nobody has done this yet, and it's called the pain-free pregnancy, where we actually have a program that when you come down for 1 week, we teach you from 1 year before you get pregnant how you need to eat and treat yourself and your partner, and then how to have a pain-free pregnancy and an easy delivery, and how to look after yourselves and your beautiful baby up until it's 2 years old. And we're going to teach you how to do the Wolfe Non-Surgical, yes, so that you can work on your partner and she doesn't have to have low back pain, hip pain. She doesn't have to be constipated. She doesn't have to have spinal problems. She has to have swelling in her feet or knee problems. Okay, she doesn't have to lay in bed. All right, because understand something, you can have a beautiful pregnancy all the way through. And we are also doing really intensive training for people who really want to do deep emotional training. That's all. I just wanted to come on and say that. And you can come and stay with us for 1 week or 1 year, and we've got the best rates that you are ever going to find to stay there. We're going to look after you. We're going to teach you that you deserve everything. But until you learn self-care and self-love, and that is a language, and this is why we will be patient with you and be patient with yourself. And check out docofdetox.com, and then go and check out www.newworldpractitioner.com and check out our personal treatment and trainings, and check out our certifications. And don't be afraid to give us a call at 855-900-4544 to get ready to start the adventure of a lifetime that's going to last a lifetime. Find your brave heart roar. Understand there's a genius inside of you. There's a practitioner inside of you. And guess what? If every family had their own practitioner, where would we be today? That's right. We would be exactly where we needed to be and what was exactly promised to us. A pain-free, beautiful mind and a beautiful body. God bless everyone. Take care. If you're looking for life-saving and life-changing information, well, you've come to the right place. Don't forget to click and subscribe. Stay connected.